into the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Aljamain. Now, let the buzz begin!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome once again to another episode of UFC on AfterBuzz TV. Obviously, I am not Dario Arenado, J-Tan here. Welcome to the show. I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime here, George Hermoza, other half of the hashtag Ugly Laptop Brothers. And our guest today here to help us get through UFC 192, pro fighter, U of MMA alumni. You're welcome, everybody. The lethal one, Laura Salazar.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome. Our crowd.
No, keep going. You can keep going.
We're here talking about UFC 192, which of course took place yesterday at the Toyota Center, the Minami Toyota Center. You like that, Josh Barnett? That's one for you. In Houston, Texas, it was attendance of about just under 15,000, 14,622 for a gate of 1.859 million. That's a whole lot of gumballs there. Of course, headlining the event, Daniel Cormier making his first ever light heavyweight defense against Alexander Gustafsson. Darth Bader versus Sugar Rashad Evans on the undercard here.
It's supposed to be Tyron Woodley and Johnny Hendricks as well.
That's true.
That's
very
true.
Fair point. That's news from the show. It was the co-main event?
Yeah.
And then Bader was third from the top?
Yeah.
Yeah. As George said, of course, Tyron Woodley and Johnny Hendricks
I have an
scratched.
idea. It just looks weird. You should straighten your mic.
Straighten my mic?
Yeah.
Does it look that bad?
Weird.
Well, I mean, I'm just
Maybe
kinda,
I should tilt it.
I'm breaking the fourth wall and reading the prompter.
We always break the fourth. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to producer Marissa. All right, fair enough. How's that? Does that work?
I don't know. I
We're
guess
going
we'll
to find out.
Nope.
We're checking.
Keep straightening it.
Just keep
Keep
straightening.
straightening it.
Tilt it away. There
Tilt
you
it
go.
away.
Away from you.
Oh, all right. Again, guys in iTunes.
Live internet.
Absolutely. Live internet. Guys in
Anything can
iTunes
happen.
land, all the more reason for you to come to YouTube and check out that faux pas. All right. From the bottom up on Fight Pass at heavyweight, Derek Lewis defeated Victor Pesta, TKO in the third. They went from 265 right down to 125, which I think is a fantastic booking move.
By the way, you look gorgeous, Jay.
Thank you.
I'm just reading again.
Oh,
I'm just reading the teleprompter again.
I was going to say, the teleprompter. Guys, this new studio, it's got our heads kind of going, blowing up. It's blowing our heads up. Our minds are blown here. Again, Fight Pass prelims at 125 pounds. Sergio Pettis defeating Chris Carriasso by unanimous decision. That was a fun one. Talk about fun ones. The next several throughout the prelims were seriously fun ones. Catchweight, Sage Northcutt, almost U of MMA alum. His sister Colby fought for us a couple years ago. Sage Northcutt over Francisco Trevino with a wicked TKO in the first, under 1 minute. Sage Northcutt is a guy that comes in with a lot of hype behind him. Pretty looking guy. Girls, if you like the good kind of...
like Ken.
Like the young Ken doll, go check out Sage Northcutt.
I mean, if anything, walk by an Abercrombie and Fitch store,
That's
and he's
him.
probably that guy in the
Yes.
picture.
Yeah.
He's probably that guy in front of the Abercrombie with the shirt off.
That's the store that has the naked guys in front,
Pretty
right?
much, yeah.
They're uglier than him. Just gonna say, okay?
Jesus Christ. That
True.
guy's got and he's only 19 years old.
19 years old,
Man.
so...
That's a good looking dude. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a good looking
I was
dude.
going to say something about fodder for cougars, but that's probably going to be... he's probably going to have to deal with that and,
Probably.
foreboding, ahead of the game. All right, women's strawweight in the prelims. No Rose Namajunas coming back and defeating Angela Hill by a tech submission. She went out. rear naked choke in the first. I was going to say the prelims after the Sage Northcutt fight, you guys were treated. We were all treated to 4 sweet first round finishes. All the way through, almost all the way through the prelims. Lightweight, Adriano Martins defeated Islam Makhachev by KO in the first. Welterweight, Albert Tumanov defeated Alan Jouban.
An AfterBuzz alumni.
AfterBuzz alumni, yep, unfortunately by TKO in the first. Alan took a lot of shots, and it was just... he was protesting it. There were a couple of protests on guys that took shots and lost by strikes, but that was a good call.
By the way, I'm going to say out there, if Sage ever moves up or Jouban ever moves down, Sage Northcutt versus Alan Jouban, I don't know, I think there'll be every woman will faint.
I was going to say
2 supermodels.
Exactly.
That is, that is the, I don't care where you put it on the fight card, that is the poster right there, right? That
everybody
is the
in the crowd will be women.
That is the commercial, that is the poster, that is the promo that you run during Ellen. You've already got the intro now that you've got UFC fighters on the Ellen show with Ronda Rousey, and so you follow it up with 2 gorgeous guys like that. I can't believe I said that. Main eventing the prelims on Fox Sports 1, Yair Rodriguez at featherweight. Yair, excuse me, as you would say, Yair. Over Dan Hooker, unanimous decision, 30-27. I was going to say across the board, but somebody gave it 30-26. Up to the main card, women's bantamweight, Juliana Pena versus Jessica Ai. Pena won by unanimous decision. This was, I gotta say, for as much as the prelims were a lot of fun and fast finishes, you got bang for your buck, I'll say, in the main card. The pay-per-view, every match went to decision. All but one were unanimous decisions. At flyweight, Joe Benavidez defeating Ali Bagautinov, unanimous decision. Again, you know what? Funny booking here. I'm one of the only people that's really, I think only a matchmaker will really notice this, but in the prelims, the Fight Pass prelims, you went from heavyweight to flyweight, and now in the main card, I'm seeing you go from flyweight straight to heavyweight, with Ruslan Magomedov defeating Shawn Jordan by unanimous decision. Ryan Bader in the co-main event, Ryan Darth Bader defeating Rashad Evans, welcoming Sugar back after... a 2-year hiatus, 22 months, I believe. Unanimous decision there, 30-27 across the board. And then, light heavyweight, the 205 title, defended. Daniel Cormier, another classic in the light heavyweight division, title defenses, defeating Alexander Gustafsson. Split decision. Scores were 48-47, 47-48, and 49-46. I think, the 205 division... Well, let me ask this first. What do you guys think about the card? How did you feel? Up and down for whatever you saw. What were the highlights for you?
It was a lot of standing up, which is I really appreciate. Not too much on the ground, I guess. And I actually like that better. The wrestlers that I thought that were gonna go for the takedown, stuff like that, they just kind of stood up, which it was cool. So
you had a lot of guys, ground guys, kind of their skills negating each other in terms of high level grappling guys.
And I think I think most of the guys that kind of wrestle, they kind of want to prove themselves to to people that they can do other stuff. They can work on their feet and then on the ground as well. So
yeah. Well, that was the case with DC, saying that he wanted to stand and dang with Gustafsson. What'd you think, Mike?
I thought overall it was a good card. If I can compare it to the last time they were in Houston, I guess it's not really fair because that card, Danny White's in probably the best ever. That was
which one?
Velasquez Dos Santos 3. That was probably, in my opinion, one of the top 3 fights of all time. Diego Sanchez versus Gilbert Melendez. Also, I think Cormier fought against Roy Nelson in that card as well.
Okay, gotcha. It wasn't that far back, and yet I know that was...
I think it was October 19, 2013.
Yeah, and yet I'm still grasping for straws trying to remember it, actually.
I honestly, I'm not going to lie, I watched that card a few times, just mostly for that Melendez-Sanchez fight.
Yeah.
So that way, sometimes I'll have it on, and then it kind of just gets into that other fights, just because I'm too lazy to turn it off or whatever. And plus that whole card was so great. But now coming back, Houston's lucky because they've had a lot of good fights in their city.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't that much big of a draw as far as I think it said that was probably the lowest that they've been in Houston and the smallest gate. But still, I thought it was a great night of fights.
Yeah, I thought the undercard certainly paid off with action. Hey, all right. It wasn't that funny, George. Uh-oh. Hashtag down the wrong pipe.
I'm good. I'm alive.
You all right with that water there?
Live TV.
Do you need some vodka?
This is vodka. This is vodka. Okay, you were saying?
I was saying that, I got a little bit frustrated with the main card because of all the decisions. Guys, there was some great action, but anytime there's a card where it is simply decision, even if it is great 3-round slobber knocker stuff, it gets frustrating. I think fans, I heard a lot of fans booing on matches that I didn't think were there was no match that was bad per se, but a lot of booing just out of the blue, like the Joe B and Bagotinov fans were booing the decision, and those guys were going back and forth. Like it was hard for me to figure out to score rounds, and I think that's part of the problem with a lot of casual fans, is that they get frustrated. They watch a round and it's so close and they can't figure out who to root for and who to boo for, and then they just go, screw it, this match sucks. When in truth it was really something to just sink your teeth into, to digest the whole time through. That said, obviously the undercard delivered, and then I think this main event was, again, also so much to sink your teeth into. Super close, super exciting. The fans did dig that one, and both guys, just left it all in the cage. That I think is going to go down as one of the year's best.
I agree.
You could debate, especially because it was a split decision. At least one guy, and I'm sure many others, saw it for Gustafsson, not DC.
I know MMA Weekly, they put up one of the headlines says, watch some of the fight highlights. Daniel Cormier takes controversial win over Alexander Gustafsson. Honestly, I would have been happy with either one winning. Like I think I personally scored it for Gustafsson, but Cormier winning, I didn't think it was controversial. I think round, I think it was 4. I thought it could have went either way, but if I had to choose, I would have gave it to Gustafsson.
Yeah.
We'll probably talk about it a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know what the reception was. Did people think that? Then again, Gustafsson everybody thought that Gustafsson beat John Jones as well.
Yeah.
I thought Jones won that fight, to be honest with you.
I was in, I'm trying to remember that far back. I feel like I might have been one of the ones that scored for Gustafsson in that one. Certainly wasn't mad at that result because it was so close. But again, here's what's funny about this. You have a bit of a valid but disputed ending with the decision. There's new headlines, or John Jones made the headlines this week that he's cleared of at least some of his legal troubles in terms of finally getting the decision on his hit and run. Pleaded guilty to to felony hit and run or some plea bargain. 18 months community service, so it won't be long before he's able to get back into the UFC. We've got DC, Gustafsson still at the top. Ryan Bader comes into the mix with his decisive win over Rashad.
And he actually called him out.
Yeah,
after,
he did. Yeah. And then you've got Jones back in the mix. I feel like you've still got this bottleneck between Gustafsson, DC, and Jones. Give me any combination of those 3 fighters. I'm down for it.
Yeah.
I want to watch that fight. I'd watch this one again, Jones and Gustafsson again, Jones and DC again, and Bader versus just about any of them. I think they'll bring him in at least to kind of spice things up.
Time for a wrestling reference. Justin Solly.
6 minutes 22 seconds. No.
Justin Solly in the chat asked if Gustafsson lands a kick to the chin, would that be a Swede chin music? Do you watch wrestling at all? Do you watch WWE at all?
Which
WWE?
Not
Not really.
really.
Justin, not that Justin. It was
Justin Solly.
Dude, good work, man. That was I can't knock that one. Sweet chin music.
I guess before we go over the card, and the same Justin Solly did ask, and maybe you would know, is this the first event where it was officially the first one where they can't use the IV?
October, I believe. Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about that. I think it went into effect October 1st. I believe this would be.
I heard an interview with Cormier. I think he said that too.
Right.
It's the first event where it's officially banned.
Yeah. Yeah, Cormier said that he did his cut without an IV. I don't know if that means
he said he always does anyways.
Okay.
He said he always followed that USADA rules.
Right. Okay.
That's what I heard in an interview.
Yeah, I know there was a big thing in terms of his. He brought in his weight or his nutritionist, lived with him at his house.
Oh yeah.
And Hendricks coming in and not making. What was it?
He was off 20 pounds.
Off by 20 pounds. He went to the hospital. That's what it was that prevented him from even getting.
I
on
think
the
they
scale.
said that he checked in at camp and maybe like 220, 210 or 220.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
And you know what? I was reading something last night. Fans actually did Yelp reviews for his steakhouse. I believe he has a steakhouse.
Johnny's?
Yes. And
No
they
kidding.
were just commenting like really
What are they saying?
bad.
There's way too much fat on the meat.
Something like that. Something along the line.
Show up early and wait and pace yourself for seconds and thirds. That's funny. I gotta check that. What city is that in?
I don't remember.
Does he live in Texas or Oklahoma?
I would think somewhere maybe in Oklahoma because they need to go to Oklahoma State.
Yeah. I'm wondering because I'm going to be in Oklahoma before too long. Mental note. Somebody remind me, please. Joe Boza, I know you're watching this. Mental note. I got to check out Johnny Hendricks Steakhouse while I'm in Oklahoma.
Let's go over the fights.
Yeah, I was going to say, worthy of note here. Real quickly, fight of the performance bonuses. Fight of the night. Cormier, Gustafsson. If you didn't watch it, that's worth going out to see. That is definitely somebody yelping for me there. Look at that big rig steakhouse.
Is it
God
in
bless
Tennessee?
you, Mom. I can't see what city that's in.
I think it's somewhere in Texas.
Is it Texas?
Yeah.
All right.
Huh?
Midlothian, Texas.
Midlothian. Oh.
Is that near Dallas? Because I think it might be in Dallas come, March-ish? March, April? Let me know.
I've got friends in Midlothian, I think. I'm not going to be out there. Performance bonuses, real quickly. Albert Tumanov for his head kick. For his finish over Aljamain, and Adriano Martins for his KO over Islam Makhachev. Makhachev, yes. All right, let's start at the bottom. Jessica I and Juliana Pena. Pena, of course, coming out with a unanimous decision. Scores were 29-27. Great stuff back and forth. Biggest thing that people were talking about, of course, was the penalty in the second round where Pena was on top. Jessica I threw a knee to the head, and referee, whose name, ironically, I did not write down, did deduct a point from her right away. What do you guys think of the match, and what do you think of the penalty there?
I thought it wasn't. They shouldn't have taken a point off of that. I think
so?
and they should have restarted at the bottom, of course.
Joe Rogan was making a big deal about that, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
But overall, the whole match was pretty, pretty even type of thing. But what I seen was Jessica I always kind of starting very strong in the beginning of the rounds, but Pena always starting actually finishing the rounds very strong. So
it seemed like Pena would come out. Both were aggressive early in the first round. I kept noticing Pena coming out in each round with a flurry. She would get caught. I felt, especially in the first round. She would get caught, and Jessica would take control. But Pena would also always come back, maybe about halfway through each round, and either take top position or just gain control in general. And start punishing Jessica, who was trying to be busy from the bottom, but never quite was able to go, to reverse things enough to take over. I gave it. Let's see, Pena. It's funny because the first time I watched it, I wasn't fully paying attention, and I was surprised that Pena won, thinking that Jessica, I think Jessica's offense just stuck out to me that much more. But then watching it again, I saw how Pena kept taking over each round. Yeah. But it just was after the fact, I like
how Jessica I tried to go for the arm and head.
Yeah.
But she couldn't finish it because she was in half guard. But I seen her actually finish that standing up.
Really?
Which is really awesome.
That was that the Ashley Evans Smith from a while back, or am I remembering?
I don't remember
wrongly?
the opponent. I just remember that particular finish.
Right.
Just because it stood out to me, and it was just like, she's just strong.
Yeah.
So, and she finished it standing up. So it's cool.
Well, she's ranked number 6 in the UFC rankings over, and Juliana was number 12. So yeah, it was going to be a tough one regardless.
I mean, I've always thought very highly of Juliana Pena. If you guys want to look back at our last show that we did of 2014 when we predicted who were going to be the people to watch, I said Juliana Pena, to be honest with you. So I'm not surprised at all that she won or she showed her dominance. I think she does need to work on her submission, just because she should have finished Jessica I, just on how good she had that rear naked choke on.
Oh yeah, that was pretty deep.
But kudos to Jessica I as well, and nothing taken away from her either, that she was able to get out of that. But yeah, you got to finish.
Agreed. Juliana, after the match, called out Ronda Rousey, suggesting 6 wins in the octagon and 6 wins in the octagon. I think that she does jump ahead of Jessica I, number 6, because she in the rankings, because she defeated her. But do you think that that's too early?
I want to say yes, but then again, I thought Holly Holm was too early as well.
Yeah,
I think Holly's too early.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are going to say that. I mean, just because it's too early and wrong doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
At the same time, though, and I kind of want to hear what you think too, I think that no matter what, it doesn't matter if you're early or even prepared for her, you're still going to lose against Ronda Rousey.
That's very true.
Yeah.
I think Pena, as you know, she flurries a lot. And that's something that's going to be an advantage to Ronda. That's just a lot of arms to grab easier.
Yeah.
So.
And she got taken down, or she got controlled by Jessica. I don't see enough there to think that Juliana would be able to control Ronda.
Oh no.
I think that Ronda gets in under that flurry, takes her down. Does pretty much whatever she wants to. But I am curious about it. I think it's you're kind of bubbling little storyline there, because I think they had beef on the show as well, right?
I don't think so much beef. I didn't really catch that as far as the actual show goes. I think it was more so she was coached by Misha. Obviously, Misha and Ronda. I don't remember them really ever interacting.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it'd be
Jessica trains with Misha at or in Washington State. Correct?
About Jessica or Juliana?
I'm sorry, Juliana and Misha. Am I right about that, or am I remembering wrongly?
Do they train together?
I believe she's training up in Washington State with Misha.
Yeah,
if memory serves correctly.
They did mention that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be a good story. Obviously, the best way to get somebody's attention is to call somebody out. That's what Betchko did.
Yeah.
But then that's what everybody's doing, though. Like, for attention, of course, you're going to do whatever you need to do to get paid, first of all. And that's a big check.
Yeah, it is.
Fighting for that. If she gets that Ronda card, she's going to get paid.
Yeah.
Whether she loses,
yeah,
that's not going to matter.
It kind of, now if you really think about it, if you're in the main event against Ronda, like, even if you're going to lose, that's still a pretty big paycheck.
True.
Kind of like Mayweather and Berto. Berto was like so glad he threw an after party for his loss.
That's funny.
For his loss, just because he got paid.
Did he book it before the match?
Because he probably knew he was going to lose.
Yeah, I guess you have to, just by the nature of the schedule, but that is also kind of telling. It don't matter what's going to happen. I'm having an after party.
Correction on the chat, Joe Boza. Juliana Pena was coached by Misha Tate, not Ronda Rousey.
That's what I meant. It might not have come out of my face correctly.
Because Joseph Boza mentioned that Juliana was on Tough 18 and she was coached by Ronda. It's actually the other way around. Misha was coached by Ronda.
Misha was coached by Ronda?
Yeah, she was actually, yeah.
This is so fun.
Live TV. Juliana Pena was coached by Misha Tate.
That
was the number one pick.
I thought that they also went, or maybe it was after the season then, that Juliana continued to train with Misha.
Maybe.
I know
that she picked her because they had trained together in the past.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, I think the other piece to this puzzle, though, is obviously we've got Holly Holm in November. Jeez, that's just a month away.
Yes.
Just about. Practically. Wow. And then, of course, I think we're gonna, Cyborg is also the big question as to whether, because Cyborg fights. There's one more Invicta before the end of this year, correct?
I think so.
I believe that's in November as well. 140 catch weight. I think they've got to be determining, seeing if or waiting to see if how that weight cut plays out, and if she can get down to 35 healthy, by early next year.
You think she will?
I don't think she will.
So good. Well, I think she can make it. We've been...
Because when I seen her in Invicta, I was doing weigh-ins for them.
Yeah.
And I seen her, she was skin and bones. It's just muscle and just...
Yeah. Well, that's
small.
The thing. We haven't... I don't think a lot of people have been having the right conversation in terms of whether she can make it or not. I think she can make it. Can she make it healthy? Can she make it with the right timing for the Ronda a match with Ronda at all? Mm-hmm. Although timing is whenever she gets down there. Will she be the same fighter at 35? That's the question. She can make it, but how long does it take, and is it the match that we would otherwise want to see?
I think Ronda's going to be long gone before that.
You think so? It's going to take that long for Cyborg to get down?
She's going to retire.
Wouldn't that just be the worst thing? It's like each weight class is a different room closed off. Like, she finally gets down to 35, goes in that door, and just crickets. Like, where is everybody? Where's the one I'm looking for here,
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Well, at least she can binge eat out of depression, and afterward, back to 45 or 55 even.
Right.
Next up, 125 pounds, Joe B. Joseph Benavidez going all the way with Ali Bagautinov, 30-27, 29-28, 30-27. This was one of the ones that really strangely, in my opinion, kind of inexplicably, got booed. Real close, super fast, back and forth. I didn't have any round. I could judge the fight overall. Overall, I felt good about giving it to Joe B, but round by round, I found it really difficult to score. You guys?
Yeah,
me
too.
Yeah.
I gave it to Benavidez.
Yeah? I
gave all the rounds to Benavidez. He fights the way he fights against everyone else, the way Demetrius Johnson fights against him. I think Joseph B will always... Okay. I think he'll beat everybody he faces until he faces Demetrius Johnson. So I'd love to see, actually, him versus John Dodson at some point. I think that's the most natural matchup right now for each guy.
Mm-hmm. That's what they were talking about. That's what they were commenting.
George, you're just stealing from Joe Rogan.
What do you mean?
It's just this is a Joe Rogan kiss ass here.
In my defense, I'm not going to tell you how I watched the UFC last night, but I couldn't hear that much.
Through the window at Joe Rogan's house. Somebody else was there watching, and you were trying to sneak in.
I couldn't hear that well.
Okay.
I'm just saying that once Joe Rogan retires, I'm the perfect replacement for him.
Yes, absolutely perfect. And you're auditioning now with the collared shirt. That's what I'm thinking.
That's right.
Right.
I just shave my head.
Anything in particular stick out? What was it about the match that you felt it was so easy for Joe?
Just dominance, just quicker, just everything about him. I mean, that's just the way he fights.
Yeah, stick and move.
And every time he was getting taken down, he was spring up like nothing.
Yeah,
and it was good defensive from him.
Kind of a little bit. George is not going to agree with this one, but as I think about it, in the main event, Gustafsson got DC down a couple of times, but DC was right back up again. Both, to me, super close rounds across the board, but a little bit shades of the main event there.
Just real quick before we move on, I know just tied into Team Alpha Male. Is there beef with Alpha Male and Duane Ludwig?
Yes.
Oh,
why?
Yes.
Long story. I actually heard that whole interview with Ariel
Helwani.
Yes,
and Uriah Faber.
Uriah Faber.
Yeah, MMA fighting guys. Uriah Faber was on Ariel Helwani's show about 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
More or less 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Not to send you off from AfterBuzz. Come back to us. We love you here. But good interview between those two. I didn't hear it. I only saw some excerpts, but I know that there were some serious personality clashes, to say the least, with Bang and Alpha Male in general. Yeah.
Is Martin Kampmann there to kind of replace what Ludwig was there initially?
That was the idea. I had read somewhere online, though, that Martin Kampmann is moving on as well. I think what I read is family wasn't feeling Northern California. Okay. Don't know what his plans are, but it sounds like they're...
I wish he fought more. I thought Kampmann was awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Funny story, small bit of trivia. Martin Kampmann was he the opener? He was the opening match of the very first fight that I ever worked, WFA King of the Streets in July 14th, I think? July 18th, 2006. Opener versus Edwin Aguilar. He was over here training, I believe, at Extreme Couture's on a visa. He was on a tourist visa traveling, and traveling and training rather. Took the match, won, and stayed here for the rest of the time. That became, obviously he had fights previous to that, but that largely was part of the trajectory of him fighting here in the U.S. and being the guy that we know. And giving us the matches that we have from Martin Kampmann, which you can see where? At UFC Fight Pass on UFC.com for $9.99. All right. What happens now? Joe B. and Ali Bagautinov both have unsuccessfully faced Demetrius Johnson for the flyweight title. What happens now to Joe B?
I just said it.
What's that? Oh, John Dodson. Yeah.
The next fight was a heavyweight fight between Shawn Jordan and Ruslan Magomedov.
Let's talk about that there. Yep. Magomedov winning across the board 30-27, 30-27, and 29-28. Tough back and forth. I mean, two bulls going at it. Very different body types. Jordan was pressuring a lot, working for takedowns. Did get it in the first. Ruslan, it's visually this struck me as young Butterbean versus young Andrei Arlovsky. Although I don't think quite that Magomedov is at the Arlovsky peak striking level at this point yet. But then again, Shawn Jordan is not necessarily Butterbean either.
But you know what? He had pretty good striking. Straight into the center, and he was finding his target. I founded Jordan with his Rihanna tattoo and the boob.
You noticed that? Yeah. What was that exactly? It was like wings and some kind of figure.
I think it's the same thing.
Joseph Boza, what's the Rihanna tattoo on Shawn Jordan? Please look it up.
It's an Egyptian.
Is that what Rihanna has?
Pharaoh. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're assuming that it's the same thing for Shawn Jordan.
No, but that fight was. I mean, he put good pressure. And I just found him complaining a lot that fight.
Yeah, there was. What was it? There was.
First, it was the Kimura when
right.
his opponent kind of like spun him off of the Kimura.
Ruslan was working for the Kimura on Jordan. Yeah.
And standing up, and he kind of like let go of everything. He just kind of shook his arm. And
Jordan did.
And I don't know. He was just complaining too much.
As I think about it now, there was that kind of. There were a couple of strikes that were legal, but good point. Yeah. Jordan talked about the potentially broken rib between the second or the first and the second on the stool. But Ruslan was quite the sportsman-like guy, very concerned for his opponents.
You know what? He actually gave him enough time to actually kind of like compose himself and actually go back into the fight. Right. So okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay.
I thought that was so cool of Magomedov. I'm not gonna lie. When he kind of backed off and he's like, "Cool, do your thing." I'm like, man, what a true gentleman. What a scholar.
But would Jordan do the same thing for him?
No, but I'm saying that's how shows how good of a guy he is. Because even though Jordan wouldn't do that, he's not gonna stoop down to his level and do that. He's still going to be like, you know what, I'm better than you. So in more ways than one, obviously winning the fight and in being a true gentleman. I don't know. I just thought that was cool. I gained a lot of respect points for Magomedov.
If only we did that all the time in MMA. It'd be two guys across the cage going, "You ready? You ready? No, wait. Well, are you sure? Oh wait, it's cool. It's cool.
Hold on. Let me punch you. Oh, you go. I know. I saw your knees buckle. Hold on, let me back up.
Okay, now it's your turn to punch me. Okay. Oh, that was a good one. Okay, now I'm gonna go. Okay. I'm not going to let this one hurt too much, I promise.
Yeah, right.
Elle, what's that like? You fought a couple of you fought people that you fought, at least you've been how do I put it? Sportsman-like, professional. I mean, you have no animosity towards at least the opponents I've seen you fight.
No, you know what? I've always became friends with everybody that I fought.
Yeah?
Yeah. So they've always been, there for me, whether I need training or anything like that after, before fights. But no, I've never had any kind of beef with anybody, and it's been okay. Yeah. I don't remember anything in the cage, by the way.
Right.
Just anything like all those rounds that I've been in the cage. I don't remember none of it.
Right.
So I don't remember if I give a girl a chance to recover
Right.
or not.
It's just the handshake afterwards
Yeah.
and the hug and that looks pretty on you at the after party or whatever. Cute. Oh yeah, can I? What shade is that? I gotta find that.
Yeah, but
well, Darth Bader, Sugar Rashad Evans co-main event for this show here.
Well, first, let's talk about what was supposed to be the co-main event. That's Tyron Woodley and Johnny Hendricks.
I suppose we'll talk about the news of it at least. What's the end result?
I do respect Tyron Woodley for still weighing in, to be honest with you, just to show that hey, I did my job, and he should get all his fight purse, and he should get
show money.
He should get the next title shot as well. He showed up.
I believe you actually to say that you showed up, you actually have to get on the scales. Otherwise, you haven't officially weighed in. Technically, you haven't shown up, even though you've been there all week for fight week. And I'm not sure when they finally decided that Hendricks couldn't fight. I feel it was day before. Thursday. Okay, so the day before weigh-ins.
Yeah.
And by that point, chances are Tyrone is on weight anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
He weighed in at 170.25. There
you go. Yeah. So I wonder if he technically had to weigh in to get his fight money to begin with.
Maybe.
The UFC, it's their own discretion. They can pay him however they want, obviously. But to say that he officially was there, you do have to get on the scales there. Of course, the silver lining of the whole story is that Tyron Woodley gets the next title shot at 170. And Hendricks, it's really fascinating to talk about this IV situation. I'm really curious to see over the next several months who changes weight classes. There have been some scenarios where guys have voluntarily just decided to go up. I'm trying to remember what was one. Obviously, we had this year Benson Henderson going up and fighting Brandon Thatch at 170, and he didn't have to worry about cutting at all. Much healthier, stronger, safer, obviously, because he's more hydrated. And I feel like there was another one as well. I want to say it was Jake Shields, but I don't think that that's correct, where two guys just said, hey, let's fight in the weight class above. I feel like it was at 70, the two guys deciding to go up to 85.
If it was Jake Shields, it would have been not in the UFC.
Right. Well, no, of course. Yeah, no, it was a UFC match. Anyway, I'm blanking. Joseph Boza is probably looking up right now. Let us know if he comes up with it. But, we are going to see that. A lot of guys deciding to move up in weight. Some guys are going to do it voluntarily. They're going to see the writing on the wall and realize that that's just safer and healthier. Other guys are going to stumble and, think that they can still cut down, like Hendricks or...
Hendricks looks small, though. He'd be a small middleweight.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. I mean, that's the thing. You either figure out your diet and you get down to 70, in his case, at a healthy weight, and you're talking about a longer arc to get down there.
What fight do you weigh at? Or what fight?
115.
115? How much do you weigh right now?
Where did you fight when you were in the amateurs?
125.
How much do you weigh right now?
Right now, 130.
Is it difficult for you to get to 115?
A little bit, yes, it is.
Would you ever fight at 125 as a pro?
I fought at 125 as a pro before.
Was that your?
But it was the first. It's like a 2-day notice. Fight that.
Sure. Yeah.
But
But
no,
of course
I think we want to stay at the 115.
Yeah.
It's just kind of taking that, for example, just people coming down from like 160 to 125 or 140 to 125 is that's you're fighting big girls. So
yeah. 60 to 125?
Well, no, 140.
Okay. I was gonna say
140.
That's
60 is like 135.
God, I did that in high school. When I was just a fat boy. Didn't know wrist lock from a wristwatch. Okay, real quickly here. Ryan Bader, Sugar Rashad Evans, across the board, 30-27. Evans coming out from a 2-year hiatus. Bader was on point. Surprisingly, Evans was the favorite in this one, which I found surprising because it was such a long layoff, and Bader has been on point. Mixed bag, in the past couple of years, but during that time that Rashad Evans has been out, but he's been fighting, and he's been fighting consistently. So I just thought that led
beating
more
legitimate guys too.
Yeah,
not beating Fei OSP, and of course beating Phil Davis. So Ryan Bader has really stepped it up.
Yeah. Didn't surprise me. I got to say I'm a longtime Rashad Evans fan, but I did see this going the way of Bader. I actually thought he'd finish him. I thought he would land.
I'm not surprised about the decisions of this fight. If anything, I thought the only fight that was not going to go to decision was the Pena eye fight. But it didn't surprise me that everything else went to decision.
Well, we talked about actually come to think of it, the predictions last week or 2 weeks ago, and we were both picking Rashad Evans for that.
Did I really?
I did. I don't know if you did. Come to think of it. Yes.
I don't remember.
Again, Joe Boza, go to our last YouTube clip. Any thoughts about that match, Elle?
To me, Evans looked very gassed.
Yeah.
Towards the end, just to not be able to let anything go. He just looked really, really tired.
Not quite as sharp as he usually is.
Bader, he was finding his jab. His jab was out there, and when
the jab in that right going up the middle.
Evans, whenever he double jab or triple jab, he would back him up, and he should have been doing that a little bit more. But I just found him very he looked really, really, really exhausted by the third.
You think that it was ring rust?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, you won't know that exhaustion. You can't really get that at the gym. You can't do that. You can't react that. And until you get into the actual fight.
Right. Because of the adrenaline and the excitement.
So it's
you
so
can't
hard.
Recreate it in the gym.
It's so hard to recreate that.
Yeah.
And and for him to be out for 2 years and then come back, that's gonna be hard.
And just all the injuries, I think, are trying to pile up. I mean, I'm trying to count. I think at one point he was 1, 2, 3, maybe linked up with 3 or 4 fights, and all he had to pull out because of an injury.
Wow, really? That many?
Yeah.
Well, he's coming out from knee injury,
Yeah. Because back in February 2014, so his fight Cormier, leg injury, supposedly linked up with Gustafsson, but he said he wasn't hurt because he was still rehabbing the knee injury. Yeah. Supposed to fight Teixeira, pulling out because of a knee injury. Announced in mid-February, so just keep going.
Knees are very difficult, man, because I've been kind of off for my game for probably about 6 months, just because of knees. Trying to rehab them, and you're still trying to work on things that you're limited to. Yeah. And then when you do try to get full action and get really, really good sparring, that's when kind of the hesitation of it. That's what kind of hurts you more. So
hopefully we'll see a brighter and more on point Rashad Evans after
if he comes
in the next
back.
one. Yeah, I'm sure he'll come back, right?
He's got a job with Fox for life, if anything.
Main event time. 5 rounds, Daniel Cormier and Alexander Gustafsson. Interesting scores here, 48-47, 47-48 for Gustafsson, and then 49-46 for DC.
I think it's more interesting on which judges scored the fight, the rounds of the fight. Because I think we talked before we came on, and I thought that Gustafsson stole round 4. I think he stole round 3. And round 4, I think we kind of had back and forth, but apparently 2 judges gave Gustafsson round 4. And I thought that was oh wow! Well, I thought I was the only one.
Let's start at the top. I was having a tough time the first time watching it. I wasn't quite sure. The second time watching it, I gave it to Cormier. You gave it to Gustafsson.
I gave it to Gustafsson. I gave him rounds 2, 3, and 4.
2, 3, and 4, and then 1 and 5. So you thought he had the burger. The meat of the burger,
much, yeah.
And you gave Cormier the butt.
I assumed just from, even though I personally gave him 3, I'm sure the judges probably looked at it as it being tied going into the last round. So I knew that whoever won the last round was going to win the fight.
You agreed with Derek Cleary.
Yeah, the one all the way to the right.
Yeah, the one all the way to the right. Who scored it for Gustafsson, but also scored it in the same manner.
I think we can all agree that Gustafsson won round 2.
Yes. I have a little bit of an opinion on that one. It was super close. I gave it to DC on the second viewing, but I gave it to Gustafsson
for round
first
2?
Time around. Yeah.
And for round 3, I totally think that Gustafsson stole that round just from the knee.
That's the other one.
But it's mostly the knockdown. The fact that he was able to knock him down. A very, very tough to knock down Cormier.
Yeah.
So I got to give him props
2
for
and
that.
3 were super close to me. Elle, tell me how you scored the whole thing.
I give it to Cormier.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, he did more damage. Definitely showed a little bit more heart towards the fifth round. That's the championship round. Just you're so exhausted.
Yeah.
And you just up there, and you're still throwing blows, and you're still throwing uppercuts, and you still have that.
And I think that you have the ability to steal rounds more so in the championship rounds because if you still have that stamina, like you were talking about, people are saying, geez, this guy is still going here.
Yeah.
But then again, the judges have already marked down whatever they thought in 1, 2, and 3.
You can't go back and change it.
Yeah, they do it with pen, not pencil.
Yeah.
At least we hope so, anyway.
I will say this, though. I think more so in championship fights, and it is kind of tough. I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on the mentality of the judge. It's if you want to be the champion, you got to beat him.
No, you don't.
But I know this isn't exactly wrestling, but I'm saying, like, you got to beat him. You can't have this... If you can't score it, you're probably gonna score it for the champion. I don't know. Again, I guess it just kind of depends on the judge.
I would hope not. Oh, you have to judge, and here's the reason why I say no. Not just to refute pro wrestling, but this being round by round, and I want to actually ask your opinion too, El, whether you scored it round by round. That's a judge's job to take only those 5 minutes that happened and determine who was the better guy in those 5 minutes, and then you add up at the end.
Again, I agree with you, but again, think of the mentality of the judge. I mean, for goodness sakes, we saw a fight last week be a 10-10 round. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
So I guess it just depends on the mentality of the judge.
I guess
I agree with you.
I think,
and for example, me personally, I think for the takedown in round 2, the knockdown in round 3, and the accuracy, and that's why I gave it to him in round 4. That's my thing, and I think that that's a fair assessment of most people think. But again, you got to think of what's their mentality.
Yeah. What was the biggest thing that impressed you the most out of this match for both of you guys?
Just the heart from each guy.
They had showed a lot of heart.
Yeah.
Showed a lot of heart to actually, they just met in the middle, and that's where they kept it.
Although Gustafsson was running a little bit.
No, a lot of it. He was showing him his back a lot.
Yeah, and that to me that was kind of the thing when you see it that blatant, that kind of running. I hate to say running, but when you turn your back and you start going fast in the other direction from where the guy is.
Yes.
That qualifies, at least in the cage, as running.
Yeah.
I did, again, second and third, super close to me. With the second, I thought that DC was... He was really implementing the uppercut game there, and that was the thing. Like, he was landing so many of those throughout the entire round that is an argument to give round 2 to Gustafsson. But again, damage, he very well Gustafsson could have stolen it that round.
It was just a great fight.
Yeah, with that moment there.
I mean, it goes to show, both on both sides, how tough Gustafsson is, because that guy can take a beating and not even flinch.
Yeah.
But it goes to show how much power Anthony Johnson has as well, if he can not finish him off. But
true.
Again, I mean, I know we talked about it in a second, but I think he mostly lost because maybe that home field pressure, maybe that wasn't really his style. Maybe he likes kind of going into just a neutral ground.
Fighting in the U.S. as opposed to Sweden, where that fight was.
I'm kind of curious how maybe he would do against Rumble again in kind of a neutral area,
Yeah, true. LL, talk about, you've got a match coming up before too long here.
Yes, October 17th, I will be fighting for Gladiator Challenge.
Right.
You should know this, though.
I know. Usually, I don't know. Usually it's like, okay, I have a fight coming up. I really don't know when, I just know when.
Yeah.
The time I need to show up for weigh-ins, that's it. And, I'll be fighting for a Gladiator Challenge October 17th. And I got tickets. Let me know.
Where is this
Saboba Casino.
The Saboba Casino in San Jacinto Valley, California, correct?
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Talk about your social media, where we find you online.
You can find me at Lethal Laura.
That's with 2 L's in the middle.
Yes.
1 in the front,
actually,
2 in the middle.
Yes.
Right?
For Twitter, it's 2 L's in the middle.
Okay.
Instagram is only 1, so yes. And Facebook's only 1.
Was Lethal Laura taken on Instagram?
Yes.
Aw, bitch. I'm sure you can beat her up. I'm sure you can have a fight and just like winner gets the name.
I know.
Let's track
I'm
her
throwing
down.
it out there.
Yeah.
Putting it out there. Lethal Laura.
A lot of fights coming up too.
Yeah,
I know I know we just came off a Uriah Hall victory. He's already fighting again next month against Robert Whittaker, replacing Michael Bisping. What else? John Jones already kind of back on it on social media.
He's on social media.
I think he's missing the fights. So
I don't know.
Although, now that we're about to wrap up, but kind of Bader winning. I know Cormier had some beef with Bader going back to when Cormier won. Obviously, I think that's the most natural match as far as their next fights. It's just a matter of timing, because I know that John Jones probably wants to fight, and I don't even know if it's official yet. Madison Square Garden in April.
They've got a date, but the sport's still not legal yet. That's the gamble.
But Cormier is saying, that's fine, but I'm not going to fight in your hometown.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense, but that's already like in 6 months. Who knows?
Wouldn't that be funny to do Cormier and Bader in New York instead of John Jones?
Yeah, that would be funny.
I think that the same people that would show up anywhere to see John Jones are going to be the ones that show up in New York. I don't think that many people are really going to be that sentimental.
I think John Jones should fight. If he's ready, he should fight either MSG or UFC 200. But yeah, I think just based on their animosity, Cormier and Bader does seem like the most natural matchup. I would just say whenever each one is ready, because I know Cormier just came off of it. He said it, and I quote, where's the quote? Something to the extent of like he's never been beaten up as bad as Gustafsson, the Gustafsson fight.
Let me paraphrase the quote here. Nice. George, let's wrap this up. Let's take this home. Let's get out of here. Where do they find you at?
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Hermoza, GHERMOZA.
JTan716 at your Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, guys. The next UFC is a fight night on October 24th. Of course, you can find me on Wednesdays at UFC Ultimate Fighter AfterBuzz. George, when's your next after show?
In about 2 hours, we're going to be covering the WWE at Madison Square Garden show.
Check him out there.
I am the co-predictions champion. I will be having my belt tonight.
I've seen that belt. It's not bad. It's kind of fun.
And I just want to say thank you to my sponsors.
Yeah, shout out your sponsors.
Brain Chiropractic and Team Britain.
What?
BK1.
What?
Take it easy, guys. We'll see you.
Buzz you later.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments and questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.